Now, welcome to another edition of News from Naboo with Thor's Lightning Takes, as always. And let's get right to the news.
All right. So, I did find this interesting thing, and I think you'll find it cool. Apparently, there's this recent behind-the-scenes book about kind of like the history of the MCU.
Okay.
In this book, it kind of tells you that both Kevin Feige and Kathleen Kennedy were pressured into announcing projects that they were in no way prepared to talk about. And remember in 2020-ish, we got like 800 Star Wars movies coming and all these projects
still coming,
announced?
right?
Nothing ever came of it.
Well, I think the one difference is like, this is interesting. Don't get me wrong. I can dive into this. But what's interesting is usually when Marvel announces something, until recently, they've had some recent like cancellations, right?
Yes.
But usually when Marvel says something, you're going to get it. But when you hear Lucasfilm announce something, you're like, I highly doubt we're going to get that.
That's because in 2020, Lucasfilm made us a bunch of promises and nothing seems to have panned out.
Well, they were like, every other week they were announcing like, oh, Taika Waititi's getting a movie. We're going to do a Rogue Squadron. Yeah, Patty Jenkins. And then Damon Lillard, he's going to write something. And we're going to do this. And Lando, he's getting this. Like, holy cow.
And then everything was, what? Nothing happened.
Nothing. I mean, almost nothing that they announced in the last few years has actually come to fruition.
Oh, yeah.
Short of like the... Ahsoka, Book of Boba Fett. They've come out with some of those Disney Plus shows, but like anything beyond that hasn't happened.
I'm still waiting for my, is that the Game of Thrones guys?
Oh, Benioff and Weiss?
Yeah.
They did. As soon as Netflix...
Ryan Johnson trilogy, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's never going to happen. But this is interesting. Like, I'm curious because of the wording here, like pressured into announcing things they weren't ready for.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean like things they had in the making and then they're like, announce that already? Or like, just announce something? Even if we got like nothing.
Something because you have to tell fans that something is coming. And at that point in time, we had no idea what was coming from. Maybe because Disney Plus had just come out recently and they're trying to keep hype around Star Wars. I mean, they spent all that money for a franchise. They've got to keep hype and tell you, hey, things are coming, keep watching, things are coming, keep paying attention.
I don't think you need to always keep hype around your franchise, honestly. Like, it's not like we need to, like, every moment of every day need to know what's coming next. I think when you make something really good, there'll be a lull, certainly, but people will get excited again when you announce something. It's not that the constant stream of announcements is what keeps people on the hook and excited. It's when you produce something really good and you're like, oh, what are they going to do next? And I don't need to immediately get that answer. I mean, look at Andor. The first season came out over a year ago, and here I am,
still
edge
waiting.
of my seat. I'm waiting. I understand it's maybe next year, late next year sometime, wherever, after the writer's strike and all that, but that's what you got to do. You got to make something good because then people are just going to be ready for what's next.
Yeah, even Mandalorian had all that hype.
Yeah. I mean, I don't care if you keep announcing things. Like, if you keep giving us Ahsokas and Obi-Wans, some of them aren't bad. Like, I know everybody thinks we hate the Ahsoka series because we had some negative things to say. I, in general, thought it was fine. But fine doesn't get me excited for Season 2. That's the problem.
Yeah, the cliffhanger it left on got me kind of excited for Season 2 because
now
there are things I want answers to. I just think they could have leaned more into things, I don't know.
It could have been done better.
We'll talk about that in another video.
Sure. All I'm saying is if Ahsoka had been done fantastically, I wouldn't need the next announcement like the next day. I could have been like, oh, we hope we get Season 2 of Ahsoka. Hopefully we get that announcement and it'll come. Like, that's the problem. When you just keep putting out mediocre stuff, I don't care about your announcements.
Right, I agree.
But it is also interesting to note how much pressure they probably do get from Disney.
My goodness, yeah.
Yeah, not everybody, some people, a few people get mad every time it's referred to as like Disney Star Wars. Like, Disney doesn't have, it's a Lucasfilm. No, Disney paid $4 billion for Lucasfilm. You can't tell me they're not on the phone with Kathleen Kennedy all the time like, hey, what's going on? What are we gonna do?
Results, yeah.
Are you going to announce something else? When are we going to get another movie? Don't tell me they don't get involved.
But on that same note, for Star Wars in particular, how much canon is too much canon? MCU, you can watch the movies, you can watch the Disney Plus shows, you're fine. You move into Star Wars, not only do you have to watch the movies, you watch the Disney Plus shows, but then they've gone further than that. They go, oh, you really want to know the whole story, right? If you want the whole story, now you've got to read these books. Now you've got to pick up these comics. Now you got to play these video games. Sometimes I wonder if it's just too much canon.
I actually kind of disagree with that. Like, I get what you're saying. Like, if you would need to read the books and comics, that would be one thing.
Okay.
If you're going into a new show and they're like, you need to go read that book, otherwise you're not going to get that. Like, that's BS, right? Don't do that.
Right.
I'm kind of in the opposite boat. My problem is, like, So many times we get the Journey to the Force Awakens, or this movie's prelude book or comic series, and it's like you read it and you're like, oh, it's all right, and then you get to the movie or something and it's like, oh, that had absolutely no bearing.
Right, but isn't that
whatsoever.
a problem too?
That's what I just said. Yeah, it's the
exactly.
problem.
That's why I'm saying how much canon is too much canon, because by labeling all of those things canon and tying them like, oh, these are, you should read these because this is about this character. You like this character, right? You have to read more of his story. But then you read it and you're like, that was great and all, but it had nothing to do with...
Yeah, because they're just making it up in a... I mean, they're making it all up, but...
I just feel like it's a really contradictory note to put out as much extra content as they do, but A, it doesn't mean anything. And B, if you want to know everything, you have to read it.
The books and comics mean virtually nothing. I can't think of a single time where, like, reading the book or the comic or whatever, or a book or comic kind of, quote-unquote, paid off. Maybe the only time, and you're probably going to agree with me, is Catalyst.
I was about to say Catalyst.
Yes. The Rogue One prelude is actually fantastic, and it's one of those things where, like, holy cow, it makes the movie better. But
it does, because it really sets up Krennic, it sets up Galen Erso.
Yeah, it sets up how the relationship with Tarkin.
Yes. So you can really understand why Krennic feels the way he does and why he does the things he does.
Yes, it's
actually
really good.
Really good, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, if you don't read that, it's not like you're missing anything from the movie, which is the key. Like, you feel like you get more out of it, but you don't feel like you're missing if you don't. That's the balance that they cannot seem to find other than with a book like Catalyst. And maybe another example I'm forgetting right now.
Because unfortunately, Phasma did the opposite. Phasma was a really good book on its own, which I know if you haven't read it, you're probably like, what do you mean, Phasma? Phasma was not the greatest character in the world. No. But the book, she was fantastic.
Oh, the book is excellent.
The book really showed some motivation, some depth to her character, why she does the things she does, where she comes from, who she is at her core. But then you watch her in the show and you're like, why'd they even bother with this book?
Because she's terrible
when she's just a throwaway character, more or less. Very odd.
Yeah, so I think they need to find that balance. They need to make the books and the comics relevant, but not required.
But unfortunately with the comics, they run into an even bigger problem because comics come out, you're going to get like a continuation of each series at least once a month. And they're just making up things to fill time.
Yeah, that's the big problem with
comics. How many giant big adventures does Luke have day to day to fill all this time? It's almost ridiculous.
No, it is ridiculous. I mean, he's had just every other week, it's like, I'm encountering the Empire and barely escaping yet again, or this is happening.
I fought with Vader the 800th time.
Yeah, it
takes away from them. It's the exact opposite of what you want.
Sometimes less is more.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I think the comic books go too far.
Yeah, I almost think the comic books should just go do their own thing. I almost think, like, when the High Republic is done, the comics just cover High Republic. Just different stories at different times, or go Old Republic. Wherever you want to go. Just stop using all the main characters.
Keep them away from the timeline, yeah.
But
then they won't sell.
Maybe they would sell better because it's like, well, what's the point of reading these when the movies ignore them? At least if they have their own kind of self-contained time frame, then they don't get kind of ignored by the movies. Does that make sense? Or the shows?
Right.
I almost think it's more of a win than a loss. I get that if you don't have Luke Skywalker on the cover, you're not going to have someone walk into the comic shop and go, oh, I want to read that. Mm-hmm. I get that. But let's be honest, most people reading the comics are already on board because they like Star Wars and they want to read the comics because they want to read everything. So I almost think to keep those people happy, you just give them something that actually feels like it has meaning other than the 500th adventure of Luke Skywalker.
Yes, that's kind of the weird balance that we have to figure out, how to strike here.
But speaking of books and comics, I think it's time for...
Oh, I actually had one other thing I wanted to cover today. So there. Gift the Galaxy.
Okay.
Yes. We were upset because we didn't get, like, our Mando Mondays or Mando Mania or whatever. We didn't get our Tano Tuesdays.
Even though it came out on Tuesdays, but you know what I mean.
Well, Gift of the Galaxy is a 10-week celebration revealing and highlighting Star Wars toys, apparel, and more, helping fans find gifts for everybody on their list, or find a gift for you.
That's what I like to do.
So yes, direct your friends and loved ones to StarWars.com/giftofgalaxy. Every Tuesday through December 19th, they're going to be showcasing different products. They're kind of interesting. The first week, they've got, like, Mandalorian aprons. We've got a bunch of, like, matching pajamas for the family. There's an Ewok pet collection. Oh, yeah. The Millennium Falcon scented candle, which I really want to know what that smells like.
It smells like Han.
If you read the Wedding of Princess Leia book, Princess and the Scoundrel, it's not described as the best-smelling ship in the galaxy.
What do you mean?
Well, when she gets on board the first time, it's a bachelor pad. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, would you want to, like, how Lando had it in the Solo movie? Come on. That's unrealistic.
They talk about, like, the Black Series holiday collection, a little Lego set kind of based on Halloween on the Millennium Falcon, kind of like that Lego short they made a couple years ago. It was like a R2-D2 popcorn bowl. So there's
Perfect
cute little...
for buttercorn.
Perfect for buttercorn. That's still, you don't make buttercorn in a microwave.
I like that you seem like you're, like, advertising.
I'm just kind of talking about it because
I know.
people like to buy Star Wars stuff.
For Star Wars fans. That's why we have several sets of Star Wars salt and pepper shakers.
Yeah, we have, what, 2 sets?
No, 3 sets.
3 sets.
Yeah, because people just buy them for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they think, like, oh, yeah, they like Star Wars. Here, Merry Christmas. Yeah. Anyway.
But there are some neat, products up there if you're curious to take a look. If you like to buy Star Wars for yourself,
Sure.
a loved
Or
one, whatever.
Yes, sure, certainly.
All right, now new this week in Star Wars, etc. I'm going to announce it today, but it came out on the 20th. Werewolf by Night did re-release in color. I was going to mention it because the premiere last year was black and white with a little hints of color now and again, and it was really good. It's a Marvel product. It's a special presentation. It's about an hour long. We liked it quite a bit, right?
You did, yeah. I thought it was all right.
I thought at the time you said you liked it quite a bit.
It was good. It was good.
We have a review up of it.
Yeah. No, it's good.
It's good.
I think you liked it more than I did.
It was fun. It was a
It's
fun, like,
fine.
one-shot jaunt into Marvel
it's
stuff.
It's fine. It's a fun little story. Yeah, I know. I enjoyed it.
Okay. Wednesday for comics, we have Dark Droids D Squad, number 2,
Yep.
and Dr. Aphra, number 37.
Yep.
Yep. Too much in the comics, always.
We were just talking about that earlier, how the comics sometimes just keep going and don't really offer a whole lot.
Voice chat will once again be Wednesday evening, 8 p.m. Central Time. Come all, talk about Star Wars and everything else we randomly will end up talking about. It's usually a really fun time. It lasts quite a while.
Sometimes into the wee hours of the morning.
Yeah, because sometimes I go to bed because I'll work the next day and I
You
wake up and I'm like,
still
oh,
in
they're still down there, aren't they? Yep. Loki, we have Season 2, Episode 4, 8 p.m. Central Time again. 6 episodes. We have 3 to go. Let's see where the season takes us.
Yeah.
And on Friday, Five Nights at Freddy's comes out. I know I don't always announce stuff like that, but I'm looking forward to seeing it. Nice Halloween film if you played any of the games, Into the Fantasy.
Or if you watched.
Or if you watch the games because they're kind of scary and you're not good at playing them.
Won't play them, yeah.
Yeah.
Right now you're going to make me watch that movie with you? Because
Yeah.
you'll be scared? Yeah.
You said you would.
I said I would. I promised I would.
It's spooky season. Gotta watch spooky season.
Sure. I don't get scared by movies. Like, ever. It's just me. I'm not trying to sound like,
I know,
I'm
I
a
just
tough
hope you
guy.
get scared.
I think it's just my logical brain always tells me this is just a movie.
Alright, but that is all we've got for you this time.
Hey! Anyway, yeah, that is all we got for this time. So now it's your turn to take to the comments below. Tell us what you think of any and all of today's news. And let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.